Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is honestly an absolute marvel of traditional cooking. We're talking about a dish that yields this gorgeous, mouth-watering, crispy pinwheel snack. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Creating it requires a really fascinating bit of edible chemistry to pull off safely. If you love discovering exactly how science meets flavor in the kitchen, and you appreciate the deep, practical wisdom embedded in traditional recipes, you are absolutely going to love this. We aren't just looking at a recipe today. We're basically decoding a culinary puzzle. Okay, let's jump right into how this explainer is broken down. First, meet the Patra. Next, we'll look at the science of souring. Then, crafting the batter. And we'll wrap it all up with a 5-step process. So, part 1, meet the Patra, a tale of two names. At its core, this dish is a literal masterclass in texture transformation. We're talking about taking these wide Colocasia leaves, slathering them with a spiced paste, rolling them up into a dense log, steaming them, and then frying them into this unimaginably crispy bite. And depending on where you're standing in Western India, this architectural marvel goes by two totally iconic names. Over in Gujarat, it's celebrated as Patra. But you cross the border into Maharashtra, and this exact same fiercely beloved delicacy, it's known as Alu Vadi. Moving right along to Section 2, the science of souring, or how we tame the arbi leaf. Now, before we even think about turning on the stove, we've got to address a hidden danger lurking inside these fresh arbi leaves. They contain these naturally occurring compounds called calcium oxalate crystals. And listen, if you were to just bite into a raw leaf, these microscopic, needle-shaped crystals would give you this severe, scratching, burning sensation in your throat. It's exactly the reason we can't just toss this green into an everyday salad. So, you might be wondering, how do we defeat these little needles to make the leaves safe and actually delicious? Well, the answer is acidity. The chemical cure to this itchy problem is a really potent acidic souring agent. Traditionally, that means using tamarind pulp or lemon juice. The acid literally breaks down and dissolves those calcium oxalate crystals, rendering them completely harmless to eat. This is a massive takeaway here. You must never, ever skip the sour ingredient in this recipe. It's so easy to think of tamarind as just a fun flavor enhancer, right? But here it is an absolutely non-negotiable safety mechanism. All right, Section 3, crafting the batter, the antidote, and the flavor. Now, this batter is definitely not just some simple binder. Think of it as a multitasking hero. It acts as both our scientific antidote and our flavor engine. Starting with the main event, about 8 to 10 fresh arbi leaves, we build a base using a 1.5 cups of besan. But look at this secret structural weapon, 2 tablespoons of rice flour. That right there gives you that crucial extra crispness. For our antidote, we rely on 3 tablespoons of tamarind paste, paired up with jaggery to mellow out that intense tartness. And finally, we build heat and earthiness with chili powder, turmeric, coriander, cumin, hing, and salt. Every single element here perfectly balances science, structure, and flavor. And that brings us to Section 4, the 5-step process, from leaf to crispy perfection. Okay, let's map out exactly how this whole thing comes together in the kitchen. As you can see, the time investment is actually really manageable. You're looking at about 10 minutes to properly wash and prep the leaves, another 5 minutes to whisk together that tangy spiced paste, then 10 minutes for the delicate layering and rolling. After that, you have 15 to 20 minutes of entirely hands-off steaming time, and finally 10 minutes to slice up those cooled rolls and crisp them in a pan. So it's a beautifully structured step-by-step journey from raw greens to a totally complex delicacy. Let's actually break down the physical mechanics of those steps, because technique is a real game changer here. Step 1, wash, dry, and this is critical, take a sharp knife and gently trim away that thick central vein on the back of each leaf. If you skip this, they simply won't lie flat, and that rigid vein is going to snap right when you try to roll it. Step 2 is mixing that batter. You want to add your water gradually until it hits the exact consistency of thick toothpaste. It needs to cling heavily to the leaf, not just run right off it. Step 3 is where you become an architect. Put your largest leaf shiny side down and spread a thin, even layer of that toothpaste-like batter across it. Slap the next leaf upside down on top, spread more batter, and just repeat that for about 3 to 4 leaves. Fold the side edges in and roll it super tight from bottom to top into a secure little log. Step 4, steam those logs on medium-high heat for about 18 to 20 minutes. Poke them with a toothpick, and if it comes out clean, they're good to go. Now, crucially, let them cool completely so the starches firm up. And finally, step 5, slice them into perfect half-inch pinwheels, which reveals those gorgeous spirals inside. And now for the grand finale, the sensory payoff. Once those beautiful pinwheels are sliced, we bring them to life in the tempering pan.
You heat up 2 tablespoons of oil, toss in a teaspoon of mustard seeds, and let them do their crackle thing. Then add a tablespoon of white sesame seeds for this incredibly deep nutty crunch, a pinch of hing, and finally 8 to 10 highly aromatic curry leaves. You're going to shallow fry those steamed slices in this unbelievably fragrant oil right over medium heat. When that rice flour in the batter hits the hot oil, oh man, you get absolute golden, crispy perfection on both sides of the pinwheel. I'm telling you, the aroma filling your kitchen at this stage is simply out of this world.
At the end of the day, this dish is just a fascinating journey of bold flavor, careful architecture, and literal edible chemistry. It really proves just how sophisticated traditional cooking is, doesn't it? So my final question for you is this. Are you ready to test your own culinary chemistry? Now that you know exactly how to neutralize those tricky oxalate crystals and construct the ultimate pinwheel, the only thing standing between you and a fresh, crispy plate of Patra is a quick trip to the kitchen. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, happy cooking!